Hello, and welcome to Create Engaging Slides. My name is John Brown. I'm the Associate Director for Training and Professional Development at the Regulatory Affairs Professional Society. The purpose of this recording is to provide tips that will improve your presentation and give your audience information that will drive good regulatory practice and policy in order to advance public health. Let's talk about slides. You've seen good ones, I've seen good ones, you've seen bad ones, I've seen bad ones. Let's talk about how to make great slides so that you look great on the platform. There are a number of things that you can do. First of all, one of the things you want to do is you want to limit the number of your slides. Now, some people will say right away, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't possibly do it less than 200 slides. Well, you know what? 200 is way too many. And if you can't say what you need to say in fewer slides than that, then there's a problem. Either your program is too long and not enough time, or you need to break it into smaller segments. It can be sliced and diced a bit and created in different ways so that the audience can stay engaged and your slides will be engaging for the audience. So limit the number. 200 is way too many. And I have seen, I saw a program once where a man had 212 slides and he had 90 minutes to do his presentation. Now, if you do the math, it's going to come out that he's got about 25 seconds per slide, I believe. And I may be wrong about that, but it's way too little time for him to talk about 200 slides in 25 seconds for each slide. So limit your number. Only put down the essential information that needs to be on the slides to get your point across. Get rid of the extraneous stuff. Get rid of the things that don't need to be there. Just focus on what needs to be in your slides to convey your presentation and your topic. Use good photos on your slides too. I've seen lots of really bad things, especially the photos that you see where people put them on the slide and then they stretch them, they expand them, and they look very grainy and fuzzy. That's one of the worst things you can do. And another one is to use clip art that really isn't appropriate for the slide that you're trying to use. I know that people are trying to spiff things up a bit, but let's talk about using the good photos and the good illustrations and the good clip art. Also, another thing you want to do is use color in your slides. Now, you'll notice on this particular slide, the only color I've used is in the word engaging. And the reason I did that is because that's the word that I wanted to stand out for you as a presenter regarding your slides and engagement with your audience. You want your slides to be engaging. Another, use good contrast. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. 6 by 6, the rule of 6 by 6 is very interesting. It means 6 lines, only 6 lines on your slide and 6 words in each line. And if you look at this slide, you'll see I've got 6 lines and not more than 6 words in each line. The last thing is try to eliminate bullets whenever possible. Bullets are old, they're stale, they're stodgy, they are out of date, and we try to eliminate those kinds of things now. So please, if you want to stay current, if you want us to do a great job with your program, make sure that you follow some of these guidelines. Another, look at this. I think you can figure this out. Don't use too many words on a slide. The worst that you can do is have a slide with 300 words on it, and people in the back of the room have no idea what they're staring at because they can't read it. They're too far away. You want to limit the number of words. Let's go back to the last slide and look at this. This is easy to read. People in the back of the room can see it. The fonts are large enough. It's a great slide, and you usually just don't want too many words. So let's go back here for a second. Next, don't make your words too big. Don't make them too small, and you can see why. If they're too big, it's just glaring, and if it's too small, people in the back of the room can't see. We talked about using clip art. Some forms of clip art are okay. I think if you look at the top left corner piece of clip art that I have there, that might work. It might function somewhere. It's not that appealing. There's no color involved. It's not the best. The capsule in the center, top center, is okay if you're going to use that for some sort of illustration. The next one on the top right, not great. That's really bad clip art. I would never use anything like that. Bottom left, bottom left, we're talking about a cartoon character here. Unless you've got a joke or unless you've got a story that relates directly to this character, I would not use clip art like this. Another is a toy airplane. Why would we put a toy in the middle of a professional presentation? So try to avoid that kind of clip art. And the last one is the symbol for the euro. And of course, this is fine. You just don't want it to be too big. You don't want it to be too small. This is an example of good clip art. Another thing we talked about already is to use color in your presentation. It creates emotion for your audience, but try not to use too many colors. I would stick to just the colors of the rainbow. That's it. And I wouldn't, this is just my personal opinion, but I wouldn't put more than 3 colors on a slide. Now I put more than 3 on this one because I wanted the word color to stand out. But try not to use too much color because then it gets a little bit overwhelming for your audience. Let me show you an example of a poor slide. This is a very technical slide, of course, and some of you may understand exactly what's being talked about here. However, people in the back of the room and even people in the front of the room would have a hard time understanding what this slide is trying to say to them. So try to keep things as simple as possible. This is a complex slide, not what I would consider to be a good slide at all. Graphs tend to show up pretty often in regulatory presentations, and if you look at the graph on the left and then the graph on the right, you can see one is easier to understand than the other. Of course, the one on the right is easier because it's not crowded and it's just easier to understand. So please try to use graphing techniques that allow your audience to understand your slide a little easier. We're talking about simplicity. It's about simplicity. Contrast. If you look at this, contrast is this is interesting too. There are a lot of people who try to use color and they try to use different fonts and different sizes and all of that. And I got to commend them. They're trying. They're actually doing a great job of trying to do something new and different and interesting. The thing with contrast is that if you have 2 colors that are close together, it's hard for people to see and to distinguish between them. So if you've got a light color, use a dark background. Light colored font, use a dark background. If you've got a dark colored font, use a light background. It's just a way to contrast things. You don't want to use a light blue, for example, with a medium blue background. It would be too hard for people to see. And that's the end of this presentation about slides. People have lots of questions about slides. If you'd like to contact me at any time for any additional information, I'll be happy to help you. My email is jbrown@raps.org. Thank you.